introduced to the two main characters of the story, who are two brothers who are breaking into a car. And the one brother is at home in this element. He's a little bit more of a professional criminal. So as such, right away, I want to establish that he can blend into the neighborhood. So he's in grays and kind of more camouflaged. The other brother is sort of just going along for the ride and ultimately ends up being a bit alienated from his brother and just out of his element. I wanted to make him a target in this nighttime thievery. He's wearing bright red, right? Now, it's one of those things where I'm verbalizing it now for you, and I don't think that if you're reading it, you're going to be analyzing it that much. But that said, it's little cues that I think immediately set up that one guy's good at what he's doing, and the other one is just kind of like, oh. And then, of course, as the action proceeds, you see that he's sort of like, what are we doing? Where are we going? Why am I in bright red in the middle of the night trying to break into a car?
It's like glow in the dark red, practically.
Yeah, well, that was, and you know, and he's up, and it also says here's a character to watch. And here's sort of the final spread with the actual text in there. So with this, yeah, here we go.
Shit.
Okay.
Who is that?
I'll show it a bit. Here's another spread. Similar thing, just kind of showing, revealing my animation shorthand. In this instance, the same background is used on each panel, so there's no reason for me to redraw it. I could, but so I just plop it in, repeat it. But here you get a sense that basically what happens is this is going to be the brother in red. The other brother that's breaking into a car, the alarm goes off. And so he doesn't know what he's doing, so this is like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And it's popping around, and that's what introduces you to the happiest place on earth. So you can see this very basic spread. Boy looking behind a tree, right? Can everyone see that? Mm-hmm. And then just kind of peeking around from back here. So here's a thumbnail. Maybe hard to see, but you can see this same thing I did here. Shit. It's really not all that different, right? You can even see it says, shit.
Yes.
But I have him popping around the trees. And what I did with this issue that I didn't do with the first one is I used photo models. I actually even used a Repo fan. The sexy Chola character is a fan that I met in LA on the road tour, and I saw her and I was like, you look like a character that I'm thinking of for this project. And of course she geeked out and said, hell yeah. And I met with her, and because in the first issue the character is just barely introduced, but as she goes along she becomes really cool, and she shapeshifts in the sense
really
that
naked.
Her costume switches, she changes her hair, she changes her eyes. And but for the first chapter she's just basically wearing like a flannel and boy boxer shorts. And I had told her this, but when I met with her anyway, she had bought all these costumes.
Aww.
So she had like the Chola suspenders and like the headband. It was really
Poor her.
But anyway, so this is the boy that I cast to be the lead of my story here, and you can see it's similar to what you're seeing in the final pictures, but it's not exactly the same because I'm not drawing him, I'm drawing the character. But you can also see like he's not as good of an actor, so he's like smirking in the pictures and stuff. So he's supposed to look scared, so I have to of course change the expression. But when you're working with photo reference, something like this, it's like just even things like folds in the fabric. Just I mean I can do it, I can wing it. It'll look pretty good, but in this instance, it's a little bit quicker just to get some people in there. It adds another dimension, I think, of reality to the final product. And there it is again. I put my little crappy speech bubbles in, just like the drawing. Shit. Right? And then sounds for car alarms, which was kind of a fun task to do. Here's the coloring. Again, nighttime, a boy in red out of his element.
Definitely.
The main thing that needs to come across, and I think it does. And then all the rest of it is details that hopefully if you're a geek you'll pick up on, but and enjoy. But yeah, it's like so now. Here's a interesting task of this particular project. This chapter, I wanted the noises of the city to be a character. But obviously in a comic, like how do you do that? How do you make sounds of car alarms? And in this particular story, it starts off with sounds of car alarms, and then it moves into a family yelling and screaming in a house that you don't see. So they're basically off screen or off camera or out of panel, out of frame. And then it ends up with fucking sounds happening in another room. So there's constant background noise happening that you're reading, but it shouldn't really be competing with the main elements. It should be part of the background. So I think we did a pretty good job. But anyway, it's like, so here's car alarms, and they're going and they grow. So as the boy's kind of freaking out, like then dogs start barking. So I got little dog barks and stuff, and then that's the introduction. Shit, the happiest place on earth. I'll just quickly go through this. Here's another spread, just very, very crude drawings of the next thing, and you'll see, pose the boys running. It's very simple.
That's fun.
And then here they are, running and painted, and again, here's another one where the background gets repeated. And the car alarms continue. Right, run! And you can see it colored.
Cool.